Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, I want to talk about empowering your life, and most of this comes in the critical area of money, but in general it's success. Success is money, isn't it? If you're successful at something, generally that turns into money, or you can turn it into money. Other areas of success, of course, are relationships. These are harder to manifest because it's kind of a nebulous goal, but something that certainly is another area of success. But whatever you're doing, you're trying to manifest. It's all about manifesting, as I've said so many times. I mean, that's pretty much what subtle energy physics ultimately is about. It's about manifesting, materializing something from virtually nothing. Now, I got an interesting email today, and this is typical of what people think and what they're trying to do. And here's a person who wants to, of course, get financial freedom and wants to, like I think most people, go out and try the stock market, trade the Forex. I mean, you get all these kind of commercials that promise you the world on YouTube and other places. And obviously, they're good at what they do. The question is with all these businesses is, do they really work? Now, I've been in business for over 40 years now, and I do have part of the Radionic Institute. It's actually a business school, which I haven't been able to put too much time into, but you get access to the business school by having all access in general, which you get access to 3 schools, 3 libraries, etc., packed with information. And basically, that's what life comes down to. So we have to look at all that. And of course, this person is also looking into affiliate marketing, other things, crypto, etc. But what we're talking about here is being financially successful. And this person I'm working with in terms of actual doing rituals for and empowering. Well, how does it all work? How do you manifest what you need in life? Empower yourself in this. Now, there's a great misunderstanding of how manifesting works. And people think that somehow you do something and you get direct results from it. Well, that's possible, but that's the last stage of being well involved in knowing what you're doing to manifest. Now, you can't manifest from any area or do anything well unless you are trained in it. Plain and simple. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means the fact you've got to know what you're doing. You can't just be empowered into something and it happens. Now, let's take something that's much more dramatic that I think most people will understand. Let's say that you want to become a medical doctor or an attorney, because these people make a lot of money. This is a high-level skill. There may not be very many good people in both these areas, but you still have to know a lot. You've got to know the procedures. You have to be in the industry to learn it. You go in as an intern because you got to figure out, well, how does a hospital work? They don't teach you that in medical school. Then you apply what you know. But this is a whole bunch of empowerments through practical study and achieving things. Now, you cannot make somebody know something. You can't make somebody, make me a doctor. Well, first of all, I can. Now, what does that mean? Well, I want to become a doctor. So you want to, first of all, to become a doctor, you have to pass many tests. You have to pass the medical boards, and the same thing with attorneys. Every state has a bar association. You have to take their tests. So, going to school is only 75% of what you need to do. The other 25%, which actually gets you started in an industry or business, you have to take another test. And I don't know if people really understand that. So you get out of medical school and you get to take another medical boards for whatever state you're in or country, etc. And there's no universal things here. It's really unfortunate they don't have universal tests. So if you're a fantastic doctor in the United States and you want to go to England or France, well, you can't do it. You got to go there and then take the tests again. Now, how different they are and so forth, I don't know. Obviously, you're a trained medical person, but you're going to have to probably put in quite a bit of study to understand what these tests are all about, because they're all different. And there's a con game in every country to keep professionals out, because the doctors want to be paid as high as possible, and that has a lot to do with plain and simple availability. So you can't I can't implant, nobody can implant information in your head that you will then be able to regurgitate to pass tests unto itself. You wouldn't even understand information. If I filled your head with medical terms, you wouldn't know what any of that is. What about legal terms? You wouldn't know. Engineering terms? You wouldn't know. That's part of being in the industry and knowing what you're doing. So people have to understand that. So you can't give people knowledge or abilities. Make me, and let's do other things. Make me play golf. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. You have to learn to play golf. What empowerment is assisting you to do things at very high levels once you understand what you're doing. But you can't give somebody the ability to play golf. You can assist them in playing golf better, empower them so that they have a much better success rate at golf, that their scores go way down. This is once they learn it. It's very similar to gambling at things, and we'll get into that in another lecture, but you can't make somebody win something. You can make them win more often. It just doesn't work like that. It would be nice. But anybody that can do that certainly is never going to share it, and why would they? It's like sharing secrets to the lottery. And we're going to talk about all these things and how actually empowerment works and all these things. But let's get back to general success. Now, if you're trading stocks and other things, well, there are specifically empowered. We do have special energy cells for that because that's very unique. Stocks and trading and gambling, well, this is kind of a unique energy. It's not really success. And it's not really money. It's these things turn into money and success, but they're a certain particular type of energy. And we build into our stock market amulet, our cell, the energies from all the top traders. There must be about 30 or 40 in there. We've taken these people's photographs, we put them in there, and we allow you to access their energies so that out of the blue, something will come to you. Oh, buy this. Look in here. Well, what's this book about? What should I trade today? Well, the energies are in there that you can access, and that's a skill unto itself, and that's a different part of manifesting. But we all need to understand the fact that you have to learn your profession to be good at it. That you're not given that information. You're also not given success direct like that. Meaning, I want this stock to triple. So we're going to go after this stock and we're going to empower it to triple. Well, the point is that stock has to have the possibilities of doing that. You can't take a dead stock that's been $5 for 10 years and make it go up to 15. It just doesn't work like that. Now, you can empower things. Empower companies, empower people, empower the energy around that company so they start making more money. These are advanced things that, of course, most practitioners are not going to know how to do, and you're probably not going to be able to do that either. But you want to be more directed to companies that this is going to happen to instead of making them do it again. But there are different approaches you get to different levels. Now, for many years now, I've been experimenting with trying to use all these empowerments in the financial industry, and it's very complicated. It ain't easy. If it was, everybody would be doing it. It's quite complicated, and unfortunately, life is quite rigged. The stock market is controlled by outsiders. Everything is controlled. All sporting events, the lottery is controlled. Unfortunately, that's how the life is. Everything is fixed and fixed to some degree. Now, that's how you have to start to begin with. When you know things are not functioning in the fantasy Disney reality, then you're able to handle that. So if you know everything is rigged, then you deal with that in part of your manifesting. But it still comes back that if you expect to make money in stocks, You have to learn how to trade stocks. You have to learn all the terms. It's not easy, and that's one of the big problems I've had with manifesting. I know absolutely nothing about financial investments. I know nothing about the stock market or anything else. The only thing I've had a minor background in is in precious metals, physical purchase of precious metals, which again is a complete con game. You buy gold at $1,000 at your local gold store, and there are things like that, by the way. You buy it, you say, oh, I decided I don't want it. 1 second later, you bought it for $1,000. He'll rebuy it from you for $500. Well, that's kind of weird, isn't it? That's how precious metals. You should never buy physical precious metals because that's the con game. So all of these things you have to know. So if you're going to go out there and think you're going to, because you heard some commercial on the radio or some idiot on YouTube, well, they're con artists. They're lying to you. They're also lying to you of what they make, how they make it, where they come from. All of these people you have to watch. How real is any of it? Well, I don't know how real any of it is, period. I tend to doubt most of the figures, and I think they're contrived in some manner. These people are are not making what they claim to make using their systems. You know, I've watched lots of these people, and I tracked one person in particular, Ty Lopez, who's quite a charismatic guy. He comes off, I think everybody likes him. But this is a guy who started out in the insurance industry and then went into dating clubs, and he's involved with all these Iranian dating club people with very sketchy backgrounds. He's got some sort of big book club that he claims he has all these people for. Apparently that is true. How did that happen? What's going on there? Well, I have no idea. But to think you're going to go out and he had a program of, what was it, marketing, selling, teaching people or placing ads for people on social networks because they don't know anything about it. Well, yeah, that's true. And how are you going to do that? Now, first of all, when you learn a skill, that skill has no value whatsoever, even if you're a genius at it. Why? Because of the fact that everything boils down to marketing. And if you're not spending most of your time marketing, you're not going to be successful. That's another problem when you're an organization that has very few people in it, because you have to do everything, and then you don't have time to do marketing. So this is all part of the process that goes on to understand what's happening. So most of these things, and I've heard many of them, it's certainly not a bad idea to take some of these courses to follow through because it's business school. You're learning. So if you start a business and you fail, you're going to learn a lot of stuff. You're going to learn how to set up websites, how to do marketing, how to do business in general. All this is very, very important for your success. So when you do find something good, you'll know how to do it right and be successful at it. Now, business has radically changed because basically everything is now web-based that has any value. Now, if you have a skill and you can fix cars or air conditioners or whatever it is in your local market, well, that's still a good skill. Maybe you can do that. And there always seems to be a need for plumbers, electricians, and all that stuff. But that's learning a skill, and you still would have to then go to school to learn that. Or let's say you know how to do it, and I don't know what licenses and other things, you have to look into that, but you're still going to have to market yourself. How do people know that you fix air conditioning? So you're going to have to, everything used to be just put an ad in the yellow pages and, of course, in your local newspaper. Well, it's kind of the same now. You put local internet ads up, and I'm assuming that does it. I don't know about the local market, but there's lots of ways to advertise. Bulletin boards, which are still people look at. Whatever you do to go out there to contact local people. And you have a service people are looking for, and if you're reasonably priced, I'm assuming it would be a slam dunk to kick a business off. But of course, you're also limited because you're a one person, so you can only work so many hours in a day. So even if you're charging a good amount per hour, it's going to limit you regardless. And that's why people hire other people and do all these things, etc. And that becomes another thing. And there are entanglements, and you have to start corporations, and you have to learn payroll. You've got to get accountants. Everything is complicated. So there is the basic things you need to start off with, and then there's all the other stuff. So the whole idea is, how do you empower all this stuff? Well, you first, as I said, need to have the skill and be able to do it. If something comes up, let's say in trading, and it's the best possible situation, and you're too ignorant to know about it because you know nothing about it, it's a problem. As I said, I've ran into this already. Well, how do you work with this? How do you know how to trade? What systems have you used? Do you know how to set up trading accounts? Where the money goes? All the things here is stocks are something you have to learn. And once you read about it and learn it and take a course, well, that's a start, but that's like 15%. You've got to actually get involved in it and start working with it in a safe manner so you just learn it and feel comfortable with it, and so you're not fearful and make wrong decisions. Now, things will come to you when you empower them in general, and we'll talk about it in a minute, but things will come to you, but you don't know what to do with it because you don't have any background. Well, that's the problem. So when it comes to be a skill that you have to go and learn, like law or medicine, well, the whole idea is that even doctors have to advertise, and lawyers as well. Well, how do you get known? So there's a business aspect to these things, and that's where empowerment comes in. And that's, of course, where empowerment comes into everything. So all of these things, you need to empower yourself through knowledge, or you're going to be taken. And there's con artists on every street corner, at every place you can possibly say. So how do you know about that? Where does it come from? Well, you have to be educated. What are the best cryptos? What are the best new businesses? Well, there's no way to magically tell you what to do. You have to be energized. You have to have this energy around you. And I talk about this all the time. The actual, and I call it a magnetism to kind of have people understand it, that you're surrounded by a magnetic energy that draws opportunities to you. Now, this could be anything. Finding a book that tells you what are the best things to invest in. Talking to a person that you meet on the street, or you go to a club and someone is there that knows about things. So here you've got information. I'll tell you right now, people don't really share good information, and nobody is friendly or helping anybody. People that make lots of money don't share with anybody. So the whole idea is that all these possible, how do you make all these possible openings come to you? Well, the only way you're going to know if anything's any good, I could hand you, diamonds when they're in the rough form don't look like diamonds. You have to cut them and polish them and other things. So if I gave you a diamond the size of a baseball, which would be worth tens of millions of dollars, you wouldn't know what to do with it. You would throw it in the trash. What is this ugly rock? So this is the reality of it. So you have to be informed. And people somehow think that things are just going to come to you. You can know what you can do it because you've empowered yourself, or someone's done a particular energizing ritual for you. Well, it doesn't work like that. And as I said, I thought when I first started my investment thing, this would be easy. I'm just going to go out and empower these different things and make it happen. Empower what? And everybody, of course, falls back on the lottery and says, I want to win the lottery. Well, anybody can win the lottery, ain't going to tell you how to do it. And I don't think it's basically possible. The only way to win the lottery is you have to remote view the numbers, which is very difficult to do. Numbers and psychic abilities seem to be two different things. Numbers being man-made, and psychic abilities being on a higher energetic plane. These two, the twains don't meet. Yet a lot of people, there has been people who have remote viewed numbers and won. These have been documented. There are certain groups out there that remote view investments and so forth, and they claim they have unbelievable success. And they probably do. I know of psychic people who have empowered and found through their high-level psychic abilities investments and made a lot of money in it. But they're not going to help you. They're not going to come and show you how to do this. It just doesn't work like that. So they have abilities, they figure out how to use it, and they learned the stock market. They learned what it's all about. They learned how to invest, and then they were able to kind of pick these things out or be directed to them in some fashion. I'm not exactly how they did it, but the bottom line is they were able to read stocks and figure out, well, is this stock going to go up or is this stock going to go down? Now, these are the other type of things you can do, especially when you empower yourself and get good at it in general and use certain tools. You can then start doing that, using pendulums, using machines. Is this stock going to be any good? And then see what kind of success rate you get with that. So we get into a lot of complicated issues when we do this, but I don't necessarily want to go, that's more of an advanced thing. What you need to do if you're going to do anything is you have to do it. You have to jump in and learn business. You have to learn how to start corporations. You have to learn how to use bank accounts. All of this is critical. And if you don't learn these things, you're going to get into a situation where you just didn't do it right and you failed because of your lack of knowledge. And there's getting into business, and then there's running a business. Well, what do you do with it? How do you account for it? Where's the money come from? Do you set up a particular type of business or corporation? Everybody sets up LLCs, limited liability companies, because these are cheap and their reporting is minimal, but you have to, and it of course protects you in certain liability situations, and that's pretty much what 90% of the companies are out there, LLCs. But there's all sorts of things involved with it, and the taxes and the accounting, all of this becomes part of what you have to do, and you got to do this right from the beginning or you're going to get into trouble. And of course, people say, well, I'll worry about that when I'm successful. And of course, that's true to a degree. But the bottom line is you're going to have to figure this out. If you want to be good at trading stocks, you need to read every book you can get on that. There's lots of free stuff online. You can go to different sites and be careful because people are going to want to sell you programs. They even had these con artists on YouTube in particular for years. I know a few people who invested with them. Oh yeah, put this dollar in here. You're going to... They all lost money. They were all crooks. And you won't even know they're crooks until you know the jive they're telling you. And everybody wants to take a chance because they think, oh yeah, I can win. It's like the Lotto. Somebody has to win. Well, that's right. But the possibilities of winning is unbelievably remote. In the tens and hundreds of millions, because that's how many Lotto tickets are sold. So you got to understand that, and you have to understand even things like the Lotto. The Lotto is a tricky little game. What are your odds? How do you do it? What is a way to get the numbers? So if anybody has figured this out, they're not going to share it with you. Scratch-offs are interesting as well, because if you're very lucky and you go to a place that has lots of scratch-offs, you have a fairly decent chance of getting a ticket that wins, or you can at least break even and possibly make a few hundreds. This is something we've seen people do all the time. But you also have to understand that scratch-offs are a con, because you've got to check with the lottery people and find out if that particular scratch-off game still has prizes in it. Oftentimes, they'll sell tickets when there are no prizes left, or the prizes left are very minimal. This is a big con. I don't know how many people knew that, but I never knew that until I researched it. So that means you have to read a lot of books on it. You have to get the basics down. What are all these things? And that takes a lot of study. It's not the fact that, I'm just going to make myself win the Lotto. I wish that was possible. That's not how it works. So if everybody was able to do that, and everybody was able to remote view the numbers, the Lotto would be worthless because too many people would win, and the amounts they would win would be tiny. So these are all the little things you have to understand. So basically, you have to know what you're doing. Let's get back to some more common things. You're a plumber. You're a great plumber. You work less than most other people. Well, how's anybody going to find you? Well, that's the problem. You empower yourself. You place an ad someplace, and then you empower yourself, creating a magnetic energy around you to draw customers to you. That's how it works with everything. It's all about creating this field. You want to meet somebody in a relationship? Create that energy field around you. But you have to be active and knowledgeable in that field. If you expect to meet somebody and you're staying at home watching Green Acres and drinking Hawaiian Punch, you're never going to meet anybody. It means you have to be very direct. You want to meet somebody? Well, you're going to have to answer personal ads, place personal ads. So what's the point then? Because if you just do that, you're going to get the most worst people you could possibly meet. Maybe it won't work at all. But if you empower what you do, you're going to bring in good people and you will find somebody you want to be with. The same thing with money. If you empower your ads, if you are a magnet for money and success, well, you are going to be successful. But it's not going to just come to you. Nobody's going to leave a bucket of money in the front of your door. You're not going to buy a stock and because you've empowered yourself, it's going to go up. You have to buy something that has the possibilities of going up. Understanding the laws of success as outlined in What Can I Manifest and the foundation courses that I offer are critical. This is what you need to be successful. You then also have to be empowered. You have to be able to center yourself. You have to empower yourself with occult gym activities, visualization. All these things are important to get all the energies going around you, and then you tap into specific energies through the use of our MECTEC, manifesting energy cells. Well, the manifesting energy cells has specific energy in them. But it's difficult to access these energies if you aren't on a high level of empowerment to begin with. You've got to open up these centers, you've got to empower yourself, and then you've got to channel in the energies that you need. So it's important to understand that things are not going to just come to you because you try and you learn a little bit about the stock market, you sign up for all these cons, these affiliate marketing stuff, which I'll tell you right now, pretty much none of that works. That's another con game which they tell you. But there are a lot of courses out there and you should take them. Usually they're not too expensive, but that will give you a good foot into the water to test everything and find out what this is all about. What is this business stuff about? People claim to have tricks of doing this and tricks of doing that, and you have to wonder why they want to teach you. Now, teaching is a $50 billion a year business now online. So teaching is very profitable. It's very easy. You make a course, everybody gets in it, and generally you're not going to give people much services. So they have the course. That's what it's all about. You're not going to talk to people, so it's very profitable to do all that. So all of this is a particular problem. Now, if you're empowered and you know something, well, you're going to get all sorts of things coming to you. It could be very subtle, it could be very direct, and you're going to start to be guided to the right stocks to buy, to the right cryptos, to the right programs to get into, because it's that energy. They call it being hot. You're in the groove, and you're out there, and you're in the groove, and all of a sudden you're going to find things that are successful. That's because you've built this magnetic energy around you, and you've done this through the use of technologies, otherwise known as MECTEC cells, for your particular purpose. You make sure your blockage is removed. Are you uncrossed? Have you opened your chakra, your third eye? Have you made sure there's no energy problems, things that are attacking you, or subtle curses or strong curses? Are you crossed? All these things is what stops you from being successful. And this is all part of being successful. This is a science. I know exactly what has to be done and what's going to make you successful, but it's not just click, 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 you're going to be a millionaire. And I wish that was the case, but probably anybody that tells you that and is selling you services means that they're lying to you. Because why are they doing it? Everybody has their own particular skills, their certain abilities, and what you're trying to do as a person, as a success counselor, is to have them use those abilities to the highest possible level, to give them an edge above everybody else. But it just doesn't click and it happens. It just doesn't work that way. So you have to create these energy fields around you. You have to keep them going all the time. Success energies are extremely fleeting. They're here today and gone and within hours. So you've got to constantly reproduce these things day after day, constantly draw around you, constantly keep that magnetic energy flow around you so you bring in all of these types of situations. And you have to constantly be active, seeking what you're looking for. So I think a prime example of that is with relationships. Well, you put the energy out there, but you're not going to be able to sit in your home, do nothing, isolate yourself. You're going to have to be out there seeking. You're going to have to be available. You're going to have to be open. You're going to have to watch every little thing that happens. Every place you go, is there an opportunity to meet somebody? And you're going to have to be open to it and be willing to meet people. Not sit there and say nothing. You're going to have to try and start conversations, etc. And you're going to be guided to where is the best place to go and what is the best situation to do that. And of course, that goes with everything. So if you're involved in trading and you're using different systems and you've got some guidance there, well, is that guidance good for you? Will that guidance work? Well, when you're empowered, you will find all the things you need to be successful with. And this starts to build. Success builds success. So once you have this energy around you and you start vibrating it, guess what happens? Well, not only more and more opportunities come to you. Stronger and stronger success energies will create more and more wealth for you, or success in general. And the other thing is you also have to look at the indirect ways. Maybe you'll be reading a book, and in that book is an address or a website, and you go there and they're having a seminar in your town. Well, you got to do it. Well, I don't want to do it. I just want magic to make it happen. Radionic energies will make me rich. Well, they will, when you are knowledgeable in what you're trying to manifest something from. Because you have to open channels of way things are going to come to you. That's the key to all success. Well, what are the channels? So if you're trying to meet somebody, well, what channel have you opened for somebody to come through? So this is what people tend to overlook, and that goes with everything. Well, what channel have you opened up to make money in the stock market, etc.? You've got to have channels. Things have to come to you in a way that they can manifest. And these can be very direct. But the point is, when you're picking stocks, and let's say you have 20 stocks to pick, well, which ones are best for you? Well, this is where the empowerment comes in. You will start to pick the ones that are the ones that will make you the most money. Because now you're that magnetic field drawing that in, and it's going to go into your consciousness, and it's going to tell you in a very direct fashion, buy this stock. That's generally how things work. But you may get indirect things. As I mentioned, maybe there's a seminar that'll teach you how to do something better, which will give you a better system, a better trading platform. I've heard it all, and I've been involved, and, in the 80s and 90s when I was involved in a lot of these things, real estate was big, and they didn't have the internet. What they had was you'd go to seminars on the weekends. You'd spend anywhere from $500 to a couple of $1,000s to go to a seminar, and they would hit you with all these professional speakers, and you learned absolutely nothing. It was just too much information, and they didn't give you any books because they didn't want anybody to use their information. So you had to kind of take notes like a 3-year-old. You didn't walk away with anything but your head spinning after 2 days of 8 hours or more of listening to people tell you how to do stuff. So basically nobody benefited from this except already experienced people who know what was going on and could cherry pick information to help them. But so they built into their foundation powerful extra knowledge, but the knowledge was there already in terms of the fact they had a foundation. If you go in there with no foundation and you're hit by 15, 20 people telling you, well, this is the best way to bank, this is the best thing to invest, these people get... It doesn't work. I tried it on several occasions. It becomes a con game, and they tell you everything. They tell you a bunch of stuff that could never, ever manifest. Now, it's harder to do that in this day and age, but they're all over the internet, and these people are telling you a bunch of stories. Are they good businesses? I have absolutely no idea. But generally, if it's not going to cost you that much, that's the cost of learning. You have to take courses. And generally, I've found that any course that I take, I have benefited by some knowledge from it. So you'll learn how to do certain things that you didn't know before, whether that's building a website, how to use email marketing, what marketing is in general, how to use this, how to use that. So even if that's all you learn, well, of course, that still could be very valuable. But does their system work? I've heard such outrageous things that everyone has said of how wealthy you're going to get, and it just doesn't make sense. I mean, Tai Lopez did this with his system of marketing, but here you are, a 25-year-old. Well, how are you going to get your services out there? How do you market to people? Where do you find customers? And of course, you have no history behind you. I'm 25. I took Tai Lopez's course. Hire me for $1,000 a month. Why? So the whole idea is, this is what people forget. Even if the information is good and it works, well, you're going to have to establish yourself. And of course, this is where influence comes in. But again, people will tend, if you are a magnet for success, people will tend to hear your pitch and they'll buy your service because you have those energies around you. But the whole idea is first you have to establish an expertise. You have to train yourself. You have to know it. If you don't, how do you empower anything? How do you empower stocks when you don't know anything about how to trade them, what the whole situation is? You can't. You're wasting your time. If you expect to make money in trading, you have to know trading. If you expect to make money in affiliate marketing, you need to know affiliate marketing. What is that? How does it work? And again, you can get courses in this, and this is what you need. So you need to train yourself in it. Who knows if these people are claiming outrageous amounts of money, which I personally don't believe. I haven't found that affiliate marketing works well at all. People don't buy things because you put a little link to Amazon. Now, apparently, people make millions this way. Literally. There's one guy who went to prison for this because he used this technique with eBay and was using some sort of unapproved software that was stealing business from other people. And he had to sell the product, by the way, to get the money from it. But he hooked up to eBay, he used this system. Brian Dunning is his name, the skeptic. And he claimed that he talked to eBay and everybody said it was okay and so forth and so on, but apparently this was some sort of illegal way of doing things. But in the passage, 3 years it was. In 3 years that he used this system, he made $5 million. 3 years using computer systems. And there was no product involved, there was no nothing. He would use basically affiliate marketing. The person would be directed to that product, they would buy it, and he would get a commission after they bought it. So it wasn't just getting it because you send somebody there. So apparently there's money in this, and there's tricks of the trade for all these things. But they act like all this is easy, like GoFundMe and everything. GoFundMe with who? Who's going to fund you? People are on the impression that a whole bunch of people go there and are looking to help people. Well, I don't think that's the case at all. If you're not known, if you don't get out there, if you aren't publicized, people don't even know you exist. So people who are raising money are connected. And they have a group of people that advertise that they're looking for money, etc. So it's complete and total nonsense when it comes down to that works for everybody. Well, but you have to look into it. What is crowdfunding? Now, these are the kind of things that if you're empowered properly, and this happens to me all the time, I think about something and all of a sudden I find references to it almost instantly. I find very important information. I'm able to find interviews, books written on this, etc. That's how you empower yourself. Now, what people want is that, I want to be rich in the stock market. I'm going to just find out the stocks that are going to go up. Make lots of money. Well, there's many ways to make money in the stock market anyway. It's more than just the stock going up. You can make money with stocks going down. So it's something you need to learn. But how is that going to come to you? Well, that's what you're supposed to empower me with. Well, how is that going to happen? So it begins with the fact that that's what investment advisors are about, that you go to them and pay them a fee. You get their newsletter and they tell you what's hot. That's quite different than being empowered. They're giving you direct financial advice. Now, the question with something like that is this any good? And how do you choose from 10 investments which one is correct or better than the other? Well, that's where being empowered comes from. So you pick the right one by going to an investment advisor, but you are able and guided to the things that will work for you. And remember, people make a lot of money selling investment advice, newsletters, what to invest in, and it goes on with these things of what they do, and particularly training. As I've mentioned, training people is a multi-billion-dollar business. I think it's 20 or 40 billion dollars a year are now spent on courses because people are looking for information. Mostly, I'm assuming these are courses that involve investments. But there are courses in everything. And a cheap way to learn or to get massive amounts of information on a subject matter is through using the Kindle subscription service. Now, this is $10 a month, and you have access to hundreds of thousands of books. Now, you don't really need a specific book on something. If you want to learn about stock investing, you don't need to buy a specific book by a specific person because generally the information is the same. So you can go there and put in stock investments in the Kindle subscription service, and you'll get 200-300 books on stocks. And you go through those, and you're allowed to borrow those or keep them for as long as you like, as long as you have that $10 a month subscription. But you can access hundreds of books on that. So basically, for $10 a month, you can educate yourself on any subject matter you choose. You want cookbooks? You want books on any kind of practical subject, herbs, growing plants? It doesn't matter what it is, you can get that on the Kindle service, and this will be able to train yourself for next to nothing. It's a little secret that'll save you thousands of dollars. And I don't think people do that. People think they have to buy this particular book on whatever it may be. But that information is everywhere to a large degree. So if you're looking for a health problem, you want to learn about vitamin C or how much vitamin D you should take, well, you can use that Kindle subscription service for $10 a month and get all the information you need. You don't need it by a celebrity or somebody who you've heard of. The information is there, and generally all of it is pretty valid and excellent. So you have to be an expert in whatever you're doing. Then you empower yourself through the use of many different things. But, we have a whole system of empowerment that is very important to follow. And I have laid this out in my courses. If you take course 1, course 2, and we bring you through the entire empowerment process. And there are certain tools you should get and everything else. Now, people don't want to go through this long process. I don't know if it's that long, but it's very fun. It's very interesting. I make fun, interesting things. I make everything game-like, toy-like. So it's fun and interesting to do, yet you are empowering yourself to a very high level. There's also the great training books that we offer that are empowered. They're talismans. Put your picture in them, and the energy in that book about whatever that is now being sent to you. We transfer the information through looking at sigils directly into your consciousness. So here your energy body start picking up the whatever you need there. Protection, love, money. Well, it starts flowing to you. And you do that by just inserting pictures in the book, and by quickly, less than a second, you look at a sigil, that information is instantly sent into your consciousness and starts working with you to make that energy happen. So, that's how powerful the tools we are and how easy they are. And all of our tools work in these powerful, easy ways. It's all laid out for you, but you have to do things in a structured fashion. It's not just about getting a particular energy cell, and boom, everything happens. Well, you have to be able to use them right. You have to be able to take the energy in, and this is all about conditioning your energetic body to work at a higher level so you can access these types of energies. If you don't do that, then your actual success rate and how fast things manifest for you are dramatically lessened. So success is a formula. If you do all the right things, you're pretty much guaranteed to be successful, and I've hardly had anybody who's ever failed. Now, the caveat to that is that some people have high success rates and comes to them quickly. We've had people that have learned this at a young age that went from college to $65,000 a year jobs. The first job this person's going to get, because he's empowered himself, is going to be a top management job. And he's raw out of school, but he's followed all the manifesting rules. You need to do the same thing. And that's just one case. I've had this happen all the time. So depending on how you get it and how you're able to is the level of success. But, I've never had a person fail entirely. Some people manifest, like I've just mentioned, super high levels. Other ones manifest, it was okay, a little bit here or there. Well, that's because you're not accessing the energy. The energy is there. So just about everybody gets good results from all of our tools if you're using them correctly and you follow through. Everything is habit. You got to use things consistently. If you use something once a month and you don't understand and you're not doing the proper training, well, you're not going to do well. People that do well use the tools, have the tools, etc. And it does take tools. It does take machines, Triforce systems, many different cells. Well, that's why we make them. We just don't make them because you can do it on your own. You can't do it on your own. If you don't have the edge in life, you will fail. And that's what we do here. We give you the all-important edge. But if you want to be successful, you've got to know what you're doing. You just can't blindly close your eyes and throw something into the universe and expect it to manifest for you. It just doesn't work like that. So you have to know your profession, you have to know what you're doing, and from there, and a lot of people are experts and they don't do too well because they're not empowered. So knowing and having knowledge, yes, it's the first step, but it's only the first step. If you don't empower what you do, if you're not getting that edge, your success rate will be pathetic, poor, and maybe non-existent. People that know something and then empower themselves are the ones that are able to go to high states of success, make lots of money, have the relationships they need, have the health they need. All of it is for people who put it together and put it into activity. And you need to use the tools that we offer in the books and the training. That's why it's there. If it just came to you by osmosis, just flowed into your head by doing something, well, that would be nice. They're just not a reality. Everybody that does anything to a high degree, even people that have natural abilities, train for hours and hours a day. Olympic athletes train 6 days a week forever, as long as they're going to be an athlete. They are already at world-class levels. But they have to keep training because there could be a tenth of a second between the winner and the loser. So you have to be honed to the highest degree. So you continue to train, you continue to learn, you watch your diet, you find out what psychological and physical things you can do and what extra. All this is part of the process to become that master. So don't think that other people aren't putting that effort in. There are people that have ins and other things, but most people that I know have been successful at things have worked very hard, particularly studying. I've known many people have made money in the stock market, and that's all they do all day. And they read every book on it, and they're following it. And how do they do it? They come up with their own systems, etc., and they're able to figure it out the hard way. Many of these people don't empower what they do, and that's why it takes them so long. So if you know your stuff and you empower yourself, you're going to cut down the success time by at least 50%. And this is very critical. So hopefully everybody understands that. And I'm going to be talking about success and these things of how to use things, give you examples on how to use the books, how to use the actual cells and everything else. I mean, these cells are packed with the particular type of vibrational, informational, energetic fields for that use. If it's protection, it's loaded with protection. If it's success, it's loaded with success. Now, these are energies that you can't manifest yourself. And what we've done is put it all in there using lots of energies, numbers, radionic rates, sacred symbols that all have been connected to whatever that particular area of empowerment that you need. So these are critical, and they're a small investment for a lifetime of use. And the other thing is that you don't use these for 6 months. Even when you're successful, you better keep using them, because money comes and money goes. And if you don't keep drawing those energies around you, you'll find that you lose the energy. It's amazing how lottery winners in particular, I think it's an unbelievably high rate of lottery winners, lose all their money within 3 to 5 years. I think it's like 98%. Because they're not empowering themselves. They don't know what to do. They have all this money, but they have no skill and they have nobody helping them, and they just blow it. A lot of people are robbed and tricked and everything else. It's amazing if you read about lottery winners of the real problems there. So the whole idea is you still need, when you are wealthy, to continue to keep those energies around you, protect your money, protect your relationships, protect your health. All this is important once you obtain the level that you want. So it's this constant process of success. First getting it, then keeping it, and then protecting it indefinitely. And of course, you know, fleeting energies, you got to keep energizing yourself and creating that magnetic energy field for what you desire. So hopefully that's been very helpful. I would recommend people listen to this several times so you understand it. And we're going to go into specifics as well of how to use tools and how you bring things to you. We're making more and more of these instructional videos showing you actually the tools. So stay tuned until next time.